All right, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. So appreciate everybody coming out tonight. If you would, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks very much. First thing we have, just a couple of updates here for everyone. July asked the mayor, we hope everyone will join myself and Councilwoman Lynn Mergent on July the 15th from 6 to 7 p.m. at Veterans Park for an open discussion about all things Pendleton. Also, I would like to say thank you to some folks here. First off, Pendleton Pride in Motion for organizing a successful day of service in the town. Over 100 dedicated volunteers contributed their time and energy to improving our community, spreading mulch, cleaning trails, and completed various projects across Pendleton. I regret that I could not attend due to work commitments, but I'm incredibly grateful to everyone who participated and made such a positive impact. And also like to thank Lindsay Watley, our Community Engagement Director and Manager, and all staff who assisted with this year's Grooving on the Green. I saw a lot of grooving going on out there. It looked like everybody was having a great time. I enjoyed seeing Wednesdays alive with the families and everybody. I thought it was a really nice event out there. Also, like to thank Presley Bellinger Kipling and everyone who made fireworks for firefighters' success. That was fun. If you missed them, they were fantastic. We had a good time out there. And with that, I'm going to move on to approval of the minutes. Hopefully, council's had a chance to look at the minutes and review them. And having said that, are there any changes that need to be made? And if not, is there a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next we have public comments. This has a 3-minute time limit per resident, business owner, or town property owner. You got to be one of those three to speak in public comments. And if you come up, we need you to state your address and your name just so we have it on our records. And having said that, is there anyone out here that'd like to make a comment? If so, raise your hand and we'll recognize. Yes, Ms. Simborski, come on up.
Thank you for hearing me. Do I have to give my name and address?
Yes, ma'am, please, just so we have it. We know who you are, but yeah, if you don't mind.
Linda Simborski, my address is 1200 Cherry Street Extension, and I do own property in the town of Pendleton. I wanted to get a little jump ahead. I know that this is not part of what is being discussed tonight here at Town Council, but I wanted to recognize the town's need to align the language, legal language regarding zoning with the South Carolina laws. I do ask everyone to avoid complicating that change with the developer's request that you will have before you soon. The first declaration in this resolution that was passed out in the recent packet was, I feel, inaccurate. It stated, whereas the villages of Town Creek, consisting of approximately 79.72 acres and identified as parcels 63,0001, 006, and 007, and 62,008, 009, was annexed into the town of Pendleton by ordinance number 05-013 in 2005 as zoned and planned development. The Cherry Street parcel was purchased in December of 2005. That was 2.5 months after these ordinances, after the ordinance after the ordinance of 05-013, and 11 months after the ordinance 05-01 was committed to paper. Could someone please clarify to me how the Cherry Street parcel now is regarded as annexed and zoned when it is evident that it had not been purchased by the time of these recordings in these ordinances? Furthermore, the town openly acknowledges that the original planning documents are missing And how can you even think about proceeding with any sense of legitimacy or understanding to fill in the blanks with the PDMU? The town should not work off of gossip or hearsay. Please reflect on the past 20 years of this PDMU's development, its changes, and its sales of multiple portions. Additionally, please consider the 2022 recommendations planner when he stated, quote, "A reduction in density would be more in accord with the residential and agricultural areas on Cherry Street and would be less taxing to the villages at Town Creek Apartments required easement. A reduction in density would be more consistent with the town's comprehensive plan and, excuse me, and I ask a rezoning to AF or R1, which would be most appropriate for the area," unquote. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to make a comment? All right, hearing none, then I'm going to move on to the next item. We have a Pendleton Pride and Motion Day of Service update, and here to give us that is someone who worked very hard on that day of service right here, did a fantastic job. We want to thank her too. Nancy Von Meyer, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a copy of the report, and I've given a digital copy to Lindsay to have it be included. Apologize for not getting it to you ahead of time. All of you were there, so you all know that the town was covered in yellow vests on June 21st. Of all the volunteers that came out, it was Pendleton at our best. We all came together to solve a problem, and I was really proud to be a Pendletonian that day. We did a great job of coming together as a community. But the written report is one thing. I want to give you 3 stories that, first of all, I want to thank Lindsay and Lynn and Powell for going above and beyond. I mean, they worked shoulder to shoulder, getting ready for the whole thing. I was at Lynn's porch continuously for the 2 weeks prior, getting ready, and Lindsay did all of our preparation and all of our announcements, and we really appreciate that, Lindsay. It was awesome. One of the things that happens when you come together, as you know, on a day of service like that, is that the interesting connections that I just loved watching. So one of the students from the FFA got together with Margaret that was managing our garden. That was super sweet, and to watch that interconnection happen that hadn't happened before. There was a student there from Clemson that was working with us that got connected with a woman that was an HR vice president, and she was interested in getting in HR and didn't even know it, and sat down with a woman and got to know about what it was like to be an HR director. I mean, that doesn't happen. And then the Heritage Trail just here tonight, I found somebody that can help us get the transcriptions of the work that Terrence did on the Heritage Trail guidance that he did from the Keys Barn down to Silver Spring Baptist and back up. So that's pretty exciting, getting connected with the Clemson area African American Museum. So we've got a connection there that we didn't have before, and that all just happens from us visiting. So thanks for hosting us, and thanks for everything they did. Town bought us donuts. That was fun. So it was great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we have some reports we'll get into here. We have first our police department report from our police chief, Robert Crosby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Everybody had a wonderful 4th. Try to be brief here. In June, we had over 630 calls for service. Summertime, business picking up, so that's how it works. We took 27 reports, 11 of them were cleared by arrest and/or citation. We issued 81 warning tickets and only 27 regular state citations. Speaking of the 630 calls for service, we did answer 509 of those calls for service out of a total of 637, with the county answering the remainder of those. We did assist Lindsay at Groovin' on the Green, so we had a good time out there passing out water and doing things. The fire department report for this month, they answered 22 calls for service inside the fire service area. Officer Miranda began her academy training on June 22nd and is scheduled to graduate August 22nd. So we look forward to having her back. I'm gonna kind of flip here. We did have an eventful Friday before the 4th. Officer Wallace was able to capture a suspect during a burglary in progress. What's important about this is this person is a suspect at the Villages of Town Creek from several homes that have been broken into. So we hope that his staying in jail will reduce some of the homes and the kids that are down there getting their stuff broken into. So good on Officer Wallace. And last but not least, but we will be back around to him before this night's over. John Morano retired after 26 years. So we will come back to him though in a second. But before that, turn over to David. I will accept any questions or if anything has anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had the No Kings demonstration.
Oh, we did have that. Thank you, Jeff. I knew there was something like trying to get scrub it again today. So yes, we had the No Kings demonstration that worked out very, very well. Even going back to some of what Nancy was saying, I think it was highly important that officers and we were able to approach everybody early on and everybody kind of have an understanding of each other and what, you know, the mindset of the town was and the police department in order to diffuse any potential issues that would have arisen from that. Unlike Seneca, we didn't have any arrest. We had no issues. There was a couple of just conversations that needed to be had and some explanation of, you know, the Constitution and stuff like that and Supreme Court rulings, but it went over very, very well and everybody was super behaved. And we did get an email back from the event organizer and appreciating the town and the hospitality this town did show and the restraint that the police department had in just letting the their rights be heard. So thank you, Jeff, for reminding me.
Oh, thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have a planning department report. We have a planner, Dave Polson.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening.
Good evening.
So in the month of June, Planning Department issued 36 permits. And they broke down into 11 new homes, 1 new commercial building, which was the new group development on Highway 76, 8 interior renovations, 3 grading permits, 6 electrical mechanical permits, 1 new sign, and then 6 other permits that involve plumbing, demolition, building additions, and roof additions. Code enforcement answered 6 complaints. Code enforcement also identified 8 businesses working within the town limits without a license, which resulted in $795.52 collected in licensing fees and $175 in permitting fee for a total of $970.52 for the month of June. I also, again, put on your sheet there the active cases that we're looking through on code enforcement through this month. On Monday, June the 2nd, staff met with, I was able to meet with the HOA group for the Merchants Gate subdivision. They've got some development going on there. There's a few houses that are being built, and they wanted to get some information on our green infrastructure and our development standards for infill lots. So we had a really good conversation with them, put together a little slideshow, and we had a meeting, and it went really well. And I think there was some good information that they got, and I think it's going to help them, you know, as far as knowing what stormwater requirements are and what they have to do moving forward with building a home and what to look for when developers are building those homes. We also met with the Village Church. I met with the lead pastor of the Village Church that same day. They are currently now holding church in the elementary school. They are looking at building a brick and mortar church in the town. They've got a piece of property they're looking at, which is not in town limits yet, but it borders town limits, so it'd be contiguous. So we're talking about, you know, how the annexation works, how zoning works. So they're very interested and very exciting in bringing the Village Church in a brick and mortar building to the town. During the month of June, we also helped the Planning Commission on June the 12th with their monthly meeting. Again, this was that group development that they went through and considered and approved. That's the last parcel on 76 going down towards Anderson. On June the 25th, staff met with the Pendleton Oil Mill plan and the GMC engineers. We're working on putting together some design criteria. We want to have a public hearing or public meeting on this project within the next, hopefully 60 days. Don't hold me to that number, but that's what we're shooting for. We're trying to get this back on track and trying to get some information out to the community so we can get their input on what needs to be developed there, what needs, you know, what does it need to look like. We also attended the PABUS after hour at the at Liberty Hall. That was a great time. It's a great building. I've never been in there, so it was really nice to see it, and they do a really good job. And then on June the 30th, we met with Main Exchange. That's the 102 Exchange Street. We're continuing to work with them through their sidewalk enhancement they're trying to do. There's also some things we're working with them on their grease traps and what kind of businesses they've identified and what they're trying to bring in and where they can be and where they can be located. So we're still working through that. And then once we get a little further through that, I'm sure they'll be coming to you guys because they want to do some things on the outside on that sidewalk. During the month of July, we've got 3 meetings coming up. We had the Board of Zoning Appeals on July the 3rd. We have the Planning Commission meeting this Thursday on the 10th, and the Design Review meeting on the 17th. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them for you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next, we have the administrator's report from Steve Miller.
Our bill date last month was 6/18. We billed 8.9 million gallons of water, that's $87,000 in revenue, and 8.8 million gallons of sewer, that's $105,000 in revenue. Flat rate, we had 452 connections and 63 multifamily, that's $28,362. For the month of June, we rented the Depot building 5 times, Barracks Place 3 times. We collected 7,200 in business license, 30,500 in motor vehicles, and 59,000 in property tax. We processed 934 transactions in-house for a month totaling $2,055,967. I promise y'all the bulk of that is the waste treatment plant. So that is not all our revenue. We also had 1,097 online transactions. You see that's picking up significantly. That totaled $134,080. 139 of those were open forums on the new website for $55,693. Clemson Community Care assisted 2 utility customers. In June, we had 990 online transactions in June 2024. Let me say that correctly. We had 990 transactions for $79,536. Set off debt gave us a whopping $83.01 on a past due utility bill. And work orders, we entered 309 and completed 311 of them. Just some general updates. Again, we're still dealing with the algae bloom in Lake Hartwell. We'll probably be dealing with that until sometime closer to winter when the algae dies off. We did, between TC and us, finally get their water corrected. They pulled their double check valve. We pulled our meters. Both of them needed some repairs and we made them. So they have not complained about any pressure since then. As a reminder on the capital penny sales tax, it is on the November ballot. We do have a representative on that committee. They have released the draft phases of the roads. I would say, I haven't gone through all of them, but it looks like about 80% of all of our town roads are in phase 2, which should be like year 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4, depending on how it lays out. But we did get the bulk of our roads included right now. In August, we're going to be bringing y'all back. We've been talking to our bond counsel and our financial advisors. We think we finally are fairly certain about the increment in the TIF district, but we have talked to a bank who's willing to do a very small $300,000 loan in order to trigger that increment to be brought to us. That was about $25,000 in debt service a year. We believe, although the auditor hasn't been able to verify it yet, we have about 100,000 in increment created. So we're going to do this in order to force the auditor to create that separate account, and then we'll truly be able to see what's being created. Central Road, as of last week, we're still waiting on the contractor to mobilize. The waste treatment plant, the last 30 days, we installed the lines from the small EQ basin toward the new process. We prepped the concrete lining in the small EQ basin. We installed the digester equipment. We poured the concrete for the influent pump station. We started in under the electrical building number 2. So we've got to dig under it and go into it. So we started that. The next 30 we have on the list is the backfill, the influent pump station structure, and install the valve vaults. To start work on the influent pump station influent line, to complete the digester equipment installation, pour all the small EQ concrete liner, pour the headworks for it, and begin installation of what we call BNRs, the biological nutrient removal system, and continue to receive and process equipment. If you ride by there, we've got the whole place filled with equipment right now. And we've got the pad poured for the Aqua Narita system. And it's going to be a pretty big build starting probably in the next 60 days. Winston Street, we're also waiting on the contractor to mobilize. Westinghouse, we finally were able to open Swaney. We're still waiting on Duke to move the main power lines at the road. Duke had to go back and get a new right of way from somebody before they can move it, but that looks like it's moving forward. Town Hall and Veterans Park, with the installment purchase revenue bond, we have to put work into Town Hall and Veterans Park. Most of what we need to do at both buildings are relatively small, so we have been meeting with the architect. We've actually been meeting with the some members of the committee from the Barracks Place 20-year committee. And we've come to realize we probably want to do a multi-year construction manager at risk so that they can give us pricing on all the things that we need to do at both buildings. And if this $300,000 bond triggers in the TIF district, we may be able to pull more money out of IPRB into both of these projects. And so we're working on getting those contract documents back, start reviewing them to do a construction manager at risk RFQ. But that will be taking place shortly. TIF district, we're at 30% on both Calhoun Boulevard, Queen Street, and Village Hills Greenway. I've got to work on setting up the public charrette for those. I'm gonna try to do them all in one meeting because they kind of all go together. We're meeting with Anderson School District 4 on the 14th to discuss the fire department property. Village Hills Sewer, when I wrote this, we were at 90%. We got sent the request to file the permits today, along with the letter for the willingness to serve. So that project will be going out to bid shortly. And again, the initial bond offering we've already covered. A little bit on Central Clemson, the annexation utility district. Clemson Central had a meeting last night. It appears that they're going to ask for 250,000 gallons of capacity from our plant. So they haven't officially came to us, but that was what was relayed to me. Was out of their meeting last night. So we'll see when they come to us what they may need at that point. Riverside Middle School, Tri-County Tech has signed the contract with MRB. I think we have a meeting tomorrow to talk about how it's going to proceed from that point forward. So we'll keep you informed on that. And Brews parking lot exchange for utilities. We were going to have those bid documents out, but Main Exchange came back to us with some unplanned expansion to their buildings that we didn't know about, that has their buildings sitting over top of our utilities now. And so we are looking to see if we can even accommodate that in our right of way that we have. And so we cannot bid that until we can see if we can do that. They want to add a 10-foot addition, and it's probably worth it, but we don't have the clearance between all the utilities on what we need without getting the exemption from DHEC or DES.
So they haven't started the expansion yet.
They had not started the expansion. The addition was not on their plans that they
But
submitted
what,
for approval.
you know, this just boggles my mind that you know their utilities, you know their things there. What fool would try to put something on top of that? It doesn't make sense to me. And it puts everything back. This is just, you pay engineers. What engineer would say, oh yeah, go ahead, put it over there, knowing there's stuff down there? I'm sorry.
It all started because they notified us they need grease traps or grease interceptors that we didn't have planned either. And so you have to have your water lines separated 10 foot horizontally, 4 feet vertically from any kind of sewer, and where they want to put their grease traps, which is why we're having problems with the encroachment permit.
Wow.
Because we're trying to get them to move the grease traps underneath our sidewalks, which we think we got an agreement for one of them, but they still have this other problem with this other one, and it puts all of our, mainly our water, too close to potential sewer contamination. So it's just, you know, we're trying to work through it and give them some options. And I don't know if we'll be able to work through it at the end of the day.
It just boggles my mind. I'm sorry.
On another update, I think I asked Jay to come up here. So we got to test one of the auto tippers for 2 days in town. So the auto tippers have changed significantly in the last couple of years. They've gotten an extension on the arm. They've got better hydraulics. So they drove it around and tested. And I just asked Jay to come in here and just kind of give us an update on what they found, what they saw.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So like Steve said, we demoed side loader. Fortunately, both drivers only took out one mailbox each on the routes. If anybody's here that lost a mailbox, you'll let me know. I promise I'll fix it. I think everything is taken care of at this point. But just to kind of give you some pros and cons of this, the side loader, when we look at staffing and efficiency, we're only going to need one operator for the side loader.
What's a side loader?
So it's the truck that's got an arm that'll reach out the side, grab your
Okay.
trash bin and dump it.
Gotcha.
So that keeps the 2 guys that we're currently on the back of a truck, keeps them off. And then we can actually put them doing other things that the town needs as far as core services. Rear loader, like I said, you got a driver and 2 guys on the back. The initial cost on this sidearm or side loader is a little higher just due to the hydraulics. But over long term, it pays for itself. Labor costs, they're lower. They're higher and ongoing on the rear loader setups like we're using right now. It's higher efficiency, where efficiency is kind of moderate with a rear loader. One of the things we need to take in consideration as well is injury risk and workers' comp. With these rear loader setups that we have, it's a higher risk of injury, workers' comp issues, manual lifting of the bins, repetitive back strains. Historically, 3 claims every 5 years with rear loaders. Cities that have gone automated in 5 years have 0. So that's a pretty good stat, I think. We can't go completely away from rear loaders because these side loaders are designed for long stretches. So all these new neighborhoods that are coming online, it works great. Long streets, even the old neighborhoods like Crouch Drive, it works great. It's cul-de-sacs is where we're going to still have to use the system we've got now, what we call short streets. So previously what we're doing, and I'll say Church Street's a prime example. These trucks have to back down those streets. So they've got to have those 2 guys on the back, making sure we don't take mailboxes out, take car doors, mirrors out, that we're not damaging property. We're not going to be able to do that with a side loader. So it will increase short streets, but I still don't see that being a bad thing. It's not going to be that big of an increase. And we're still going to have a smaller footprint with the rear loader system.
So this is something that new development needs to take in mind when they're laying out their neighborhoods.
Well, the way they're laying them out, this system is going to work perfect with it. And it's faster. Now, I say that these guys, this is a different system. It works on a joystick. It's got cameras where you can sit there and watch it load. So you know you're dumping it, you know you're picking it up. You can actually adjust the fingers on these things. It just don't reach out there and crush it. They've come a long ways, but these guys still are going to have a break-in phase, if you will, so they get more efficient with it.
So we just need to make sure we don't put our trash in our mailbox.
You're not wrong. No, you're right. Street parking, it'll be an issue. If you got a car parked in front of that trash bin, more than likely your trash isn't going to get picked up because they can't reach over that car. And we've got 1 guy, and currently we have over 500 stops daily, Monday through Thursday. So and it's growing, and we still have neighborhoods coming online. So it's going to take some work on our part to make sure that the public understands we need certain things done in order for us to maintain our efficiency.
And do you think that we need to do some type of flyer on the trash cans?
I think that would be great. I think it's even to the point where we've talked with Westminster to where if the bins have to be turned a certain way to be more efficient, it'll dump regardless of how it's turned, but the lid could still catch some trash and then sling it out as you're setting it down. So at one point, the guys would actually get out. We may put 2 in it initially so we can turn it, and we'll write on that thing with a marker street side. That's what Westminster done. So when people roll it out, you can actually see where it says street side. Even if we got to get a template and spray it, that way they're positioned to where the truck can come through, pick it up, keep moving. Now, as I was looking at all this stuff and thinking of our efficiency with sanitation here, it kind of just segued into some other things. We are going to have to, at some point, consider, do we still want to maintain doing dumpsters or not? Because if we want to go and be efficient, we're going to have to do a different style dumpster system. What we're using now requires 3 people. It's a winch system where you hook a hook on the dumpster, you back the truck up to it. The 2 guys in the back have to make sure it locks in, and then that thing is winched up. It's antiquated, but it's what it may just been what we had to do at the time, and we stuck with it. But the only thing to become more efficient is to have a front loader. I don't think that cost is nothing that we need to consider, because that means we're purchasing new dumpsters as well to accommodate that style of pickup. Most municipalities, we're finding out, are going to have third-party people pick up dumpsters.
That's what I'm going to say too.
So we should probably look at that. Another thing we got dropped on us today, talking to our primary distributors for recycle bins, they're quitting making them. They said the demand is not high. Otto and Amic does not make them anymore. So we are going to have to, if we're going to continue a recycle, we're going to have to look for some other options for bins now.
But recycling costs us money, it doesn't make us.
It costs us a lot of money.
Well, then why don't we just, never mind, sure, no, go ahead.
Well, I agree with you. And unfortunately, well, and to be fair, because we do have citizens that are very adamant about their recycling, and God bless them, that's fine. But it is a cost on the town right now that we're losing money weekly at a rate of about $2,000 a week, because you got 3 guys on a truck, and there's certain items that can only be recycled. And we're picking up items that shouldn't be in the recycle bins, or it's contaminated and it gets sorted out at the facility. So it's.
But if people knew the amount, like I'm stunned to know we're losing $2,000 a week, and that's $2,000 that can be spent elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that if people knew this and were told, this is why we're discontinuing, and, look, there are plenty of other options that they can look at for people picking up, and they can, and I don't mean to sound callous in saying they can take it themselves, but I think that if people are wanting, and that shouldn't fall on us, if the public at large wants recycling, then they need to come with some solutions that are not costing the town $2,000 a week, knowing that these same people are wanting money, their tax money, to go, for something better.
Yeah, and another thing, just because you do away with curbside recycling doesn't mean you can't recycle.
That's true.
We have the drop sites. You can even recycle glass, because you cannot recycle glass curbside because it tears up the conveyors. They won't let us count. So you can go out there, separate, you can recycle any. I will say, though, we have such a large population now off of 76 on that side.
Yes.
We need another site like that over for those people on that side, so they don't have to drive all the way over here to recycle. We need to make it a little more convenient if we want it that way. But it's just a thought.
Well, the right of way right
You
off
can
of
still
187.
recycle. And that's what I do. I carry mine.
Yeah,
You
that right of
recycle
way.
glass bottles and different color glass bottles and all that stuff.
Yeah, the right of way off of 187 for our lift station would be a great spot for a secondary recycling center.
Yeah.
We've actually already been contacted by the county once in the past 6 months about excessive glass in our recycling, and said if we continued, we'd lose our ability to
Yeah.
use their
And
facility.
if it gets contaminated with, say, an old pizza boxes in there, it's getting
That's-
thrown in the landfill.
That's the biggest thing we have is pizza boxes and it, or if it rains, if it's wet, it goes. Now, the caveat to that is you're not going to get any negative, information from the county because they're making money off of it. And, that's their business. I mean, nobody wants to knock free money, but unfortunately, it's going to come to a point with our neighborhoods growing like they are that we're not going to have the ability or the staffing to handle sanitation, recycling within a 4 or 5 day time frame efficiently. I mean, we might get it, but I got guys working 9 hours on a truck right now, not taking a lunch break because they don't want to eat and get on the back of a truck again, just because it's sickening. But at some point, we're probably going to have to make a decision. It's not going to be popular with everybody, but if we want to be efficient with core services, I think these side loaders are a great thing because it's going to give us 2 more personnel to look at core services. I know most people probably sitting back here, they look at some of our right of ways and they're like, why aren't we cutting them? I don't have people. I got 6 of them dedicated just for sanitation and recycling. And we're losing money, bleeding money on recycling.
There again, I think it's one of those things that it's a matter of us making our citizens aware of the situation instead of just, and I know we'll have hearings and this, but everybody doesn't know about public hearings, get the information about public hearings, even want to come to public hearing. But the main thing is that we make every effort to educate before they agitate.
Right. And if you'll bear with me, let me give you some hardcore numbers. These aren't exact numbers, but it's just something for you to chew on. So our rear loader with a 3-person setup, say the guy on the back, $18 an hour, let's just say that. At 40 hours a week, annually, that's $112,000. With a side loader guy at $20 an hour, because he's a CDL license holder, we're looking at $41,600 a year. And that's a savings of over $70,000 by getting those 2 guys off that truck, that we can put that $70,000 to some other use in our core services. So if we could get one on the road, which I believe that's what we're in the process doing, 3 years down the road, if we can get another one, that will really help us be efficient with at least the sanitation. And then we can start addressing some of the other issues that's been lacking for quite some time.
I think what Barbara said, public education and public input are what's the key here in this.
Right. And trust me, I don't want to cause an uproar or anything, but unfortunately, it's going to come a time where we're going to have to make some decisions on, do you want your trash picked up or do you want your pizza boxes picked up? And they're going to end up in the trash dump anyway. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, but it's kind of the gist of it. And we need to be looking at efficiency.
Well, and here's the thing, pizza boxes aren't supposed to go in recycling anyway.
No, ma'am, they're not. And neither's glass, but we get it.
I understand, that's what I'm saying. So to me, it's key with the education part, because they can't follow instructions as it is.
One last thing on our sanitation trucks, we have to have 4 sanitation trucks right now, especially when we have holidays and double routes. We got a quote back to repair our oldest truck that we told, informed council about the cylinder wash, and budget it's $35,000 on that, plus another $10,000 to repair the hydraulic press inside of it, because it's so old. So we're probably not going to spend $50,000 to repair it, but that means we will have 3 trucks. So when we have to run double routes and our trucks do go down, it's quite possible we will have to amend our schedules.
Oh, yeah.
To do it.
So we're going to spend all that to keep this one in.
No.
Oh, okay.
Now, this is one of our older rear loaders.
So you're gonna let it go? No, I'm asking because I'm
Well-
looking up to, are we gonna get another sidewinder?
Right. My thing is, if we're going to go to this side loader option, I wouldn't waste this town's money fixing that truck.
Well, that's
Well, we
why I
can put it
said
in
put
something
to
else.
another one.
I'd
Have two
say-
to the side.
I'd say go
Oh,
bill
yeah.
it and sell it for what we can and let somebody else have that headache. I don't think anybody out here wants to foot that bill. I don't. I know they don't. Especially if we want to be efficient, and it's not.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have an update on our strategic plan from our plan coordinator, Councilwoman Lynn Merchant.
Thank you. We all met on June 25th for our first quarter review, and most of those projects are complete or in the late stages of completion. The next couple of projects are all going to be multi-quarter projects, big projects for all three teams. The Fostering Connected Community, which is Team 1, will be working on developing a plan to provide consistent updates on the strategic plan so that information will be available more frequently, and so you can see exactly what the vision statements are and where we're moving on all of those statements. And their second project is convening a brand collaboration team. That's to help start developing a branding concept for the town. Team 2, which is creating organizational success, they will be working on standardizing department meetings, evaluating and revising the employee benefits, and then that information will come back and need to be approved by council and probably legal information before council. So the third team is the tying decisions to visions, and we are working on editing and finalizing the vision statements. We felt like at the quarterly meeting, we decided that they weren't as clear as they needed to be. So we're working on that, which will probably be our shortest project. And we are also working on developing a business development plan. And of course, we're working with David with the UDO. So all of those projects are going to be multi-quarter projects. We probably will not complete those until early next year. So that's where we are.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. All right, next we have some action items, the first of which is consideration of a resolution, Pendleton Town Council of the Town of Pendleton, South Carolina, authorizing the award of a town-issued formal firearm and police badge to retired police officer John Morano in recognition of 25 years of service as a police officer. My recommended action is approval, and Corporal Morano, we really appreciate what you've done for this town over the years. Can't thank you enough.
A pleasure.
You've made a lot of sacrifices for us, and we appreciate it. Yes, sir. So having said all that, do I have a motion? We pass this resolution. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. It's unanimous. I think we have
A photo op.
a photo op, of course.
Mr. Mayor, if you allow me to be able to do this.
Yes, sir. I certainly will.
Show this to the council. So I don't know why you're sitting down. This is the plaque that is awarded to him today. Again, with his recognition, again, his badge is impressed into the plaque along with the patch here in the town. For those that are new to the town or watching on the YouTubes, Corporal Morano has served this town, or served law enforcement for 26 years. And during that 26 years, that included one deployment overseas to Iraq to serve this country as well. While he was an employee here, he returned back and switched during the transitional time period and served with the sheriff's office, as well as continuing to serve this town as assigned to this area. So the 4.5 years I've been here have been the longest 4 years. I am so glad he is retired. Wait, no, that's not what I was going for. No, it was a pleasure working with him. It was a pleasure that he helped me in the actual transition from North Carolina to South Carolina. So he taught me a lot as well about this town and the people that are in it and how to value the people that are in it. And there will probably be no one here that's come through here that's able to engage with this community and be as well known as John Morano. So John, we appreciate it, my friend.
couple. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, next we have consideration of a resolution to appoint a commissioner and an alternate to the Anderson County Joint Municipal Water Association Board. This update's needed to allow Jay Lockerbie to replace James Ford as the town's alternate on this board. And I'm not going to read the resolution. We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of a resolution to enter into mutual aid agreement with Clemson University Police Department. Resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement between the town of Pendleton and Clemson University to provide for the transfer of law enforcement officers on a temporary basis to work in law enforcement in the other jurisdiction. Recommended action is to approve this agreement to enter into mutual aid agreement with Clemson University.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of waiving fees for a special event, Janet Greenlee Day. The applicant is requesting that the town waive fees associated with a special event on May 20th, 2023. The town of Pendleton proclaimed the day as Janet Corrine Greenlee Day in honor of her contributions to the community. Her family is planning a public celebration to honor her, and this is a council decision. Do you have any motions or
Yeah, who
questions?
is Janet Greenlee? I mean, well, really, who is she? Is this someone who's still around?
I don't think she is any longer. I think, but I don't know for a fact.
I believe this is in memorial of
Yes.
Janet.
Okay.
I believe so.
Thank
She had received a key to the town of Pendleton at one
We
point.
were playing.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, she was just a servant lady that gave
No,
her
and
the community.
I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, they just want to have this event to honor her.
Okay.
And from my understanding from the applicant, they are looking to do like an outreach event for the community, bring community groups together to provide resources for the community, have a fun day, that type of thing.
So what do you need? Approval?
Approval to waive the fees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
have, you know.
Yeah, yeah, just a motion.
Motion to approve, waiving the fees.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
Because I question stuff don't mean I
I
disagree
don't
with it.
mind it.
Okay, so we have consideration of first reading of an ordinance to repeal ordinance 25-05 for the town of Pendleton, South Carolina. Town council will consider first reading of this ordinance, which previously amended the town's fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. The provisions of ordinance 2505 were subsequently included in a comprehensive budget amended and adopted by council, rendering ordinance 2505 redundant. Repealing the ordinance will clarify the town's budget records and eliminate duplication. Having said all that, to have a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next we have consideration of executive session pursuant to South Carolina Code of Laws 30-4-70 to receive legal advice and discuss potential claims, litigation related to zoning and land use code enforcement. So I have a motion that would go into executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. We'll be going into executive session.
still hammer